And I remember listening to an interview from her dad, and her dad was all about sports, and so she, because she was an athlete, was all about sports, and so she took sports seriously, but she played several sports, and she was 9, so I don't think that she was, the fanatical diehard for it.
Not thinking she's going to make it to the big leagues or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it's a little early for that, other than the typical kid daydream.
Right, but additional to that, if, I see the train of thought here is maybe she was so upset that she decided to leave, but she was not upset. There are no reports of her continuing to be upset the weekend. Additional to all of that, according to people who research this sort of stuff, and because sometimes you get complaints about this, Ben Ermine, who's the director of the National Center for Missing and Exploiting Children's Missing Children Division, and John Goad, who is the director of the North Carolina Center for Missing Persons. Those are two of the people that I read their research on, citing my sources.
Appreciate that.
Kids don't really run away, seriously run away, until about 12. And state officials almost never, less than 1% of the time, will a state official classify children under 10 as runaways. They're always missing persons or abducted children. Because
at that age, if there is a quote-unquote runaway situation, it's a ran and hid under the stairs all day situation, not a I'm out of here and I'm
for good.
I
mean, definitely there are kids who younger than 12 who do that thing where they run until they get to the end of the block and then suddenly they realize
that this sucks,
and they come home, or even run away for a couple hours, but they come home.
But I got to tell you the other thing that strictly being a runaway is that I don't remember what I was doing at age 9 or what I was thinking. I really don't remember at all. I didn't run away that I can recall. But if I were going to run away at that age or any other age, I would do it on a nice sunny afternoon, or at least I would do it during the daylight. I would leave at 3 in the morning.
But I do remember some of the things that I did and thought at that age, and honestly, you live in a fantasy land. You really think that everything is sunshine and roses, and just like that the Whipping Boy, the book, you're gonna go on these things and it's gonna be great and it's gonna be fine. It's just that most kids get out and they go, oh crap, I don't know what I'm doing, and they go home. Yeah.
Well, and the other reason I don't think it was strictly a runaway situation is she didn't really dress for the weather. From what I've seen in the descriptions of people that saw her out at Highway 18, it didn't appear that she was wearing a coat.
Yeah, that's true, but just today I was getting gas. It's cold here. We should mention it's a little
chilly. It's in the 40s.
It was in the 30s today.
And raining. At times.
At times. And I was sitting getting gas, freezing in my car with my mittens on, and past me walks a kid who's probably 11, boy, wearing athletic shorts and a t-shirt and a Santa hat.
I watch the kids in my neighborhood do that all the time, and I forget that at that age they're
invincible.
Little heaters, and they are immune to the cold for longer than us adults.
Right. Well, it helps.
Us old people.
That's just something about Portland too. You see tons of people wearing shorts in the wintertime here and stuff like that.
Oh, it's not just Portland.
No.
Yeah.
But it's usually shorts and a parka.
Yeah.
But all of that aside, she had recently read The Whipping Boy, so people will cite that as, she thought she was going on an adventure. But again, I've read The Whipping Boy, and it's not glorified. Yeah, everything works out in the end, that's fine, but some really bad stuff happens to them while they're traveling. And I mean, I don't know, as a 9-year-old, if you read that and think, running away sounds like fun, getting kidnapped and beat up, that sounds like fun. I don't think so.
I think just running away randomly, I don't think so. I'm not buying that at all.
No, I agree with that. But there's a sub-theory to this, and that is that somebody could have influenced her to run away.
Yeah.
Coached her,
and that's why,
if you will.
And that's why I was wondering about how into basketball she was, and that's why I tried to find out if her basketball uniform was packed in her bag.
Yeah.
Because supposing she was feeling frustrated on Saturday after fouling out and everything like that, supposing she had fallen under the influence of some adult who said something like, hey, I know about this special camp for basketball, camp for prepubescent girls, and if you go attend this school for a week or two, you'll be a freaking star. But the important thing is you can't tell your parents. It's got to be a surprise. Just meet me, at the intersection of Highway 18 and Highway 180 at 3:30 in the morning on Valentine's Day. and bring a bag, and we'll make you a star.
That's how LeBron James got started.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Pretty sure
so
that's true,
that's
actually.
And that's why I was wondering about the basketball angle.
Yeah,
with that,
no,
because
I agree with
she
that.
had to be, to do what she did, it wasn't some random thing. She had to be highly motivated to go out in the dark on a stormy night, a 9-year-old kid, and
Who's
travel.
scared of the dark?
Yeah, who was scared of the dark. And something really motivated that girl, and God knows what it was.
Yeah.
She wanted
I agree
something
with
really
that.
bad.
She did.
Or she wanted to get away from something really bad.
In her family?
I'm not saying there's anything going on at her home, because her parents, from everything I can tell, were loving and doing everything right. But that doesn't mean something around her in her neighborhood,
Some
a
relative
kid, a
or
relative,
something, yeah.
a neighbor, something put the fear of God into her, and she decided she had to go.
Maybe.
I
I don't
mean,
know.
things happen to kids, and kids don't tell right away.
Yeah, true.
I'm not saying that's what happened, but you can't rule it out, because
No.
it's so inexplicable that she did what she did.
You're right. You can't rule it out. One of the big question marks for me on that idea is that she and O'Brien were of similar age, and it sounds like did most everything together. And I think that he would have, if something had happened, he might not have mentioned to his parents right away, but once she went missing, yeah, this kid was being mean to her.
You probably would have known, yeah.
That's my...
I don't know. We're all making
totally
presumptions here. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it really is. It's unlikely, to me at least, that she met a predator online. I think it would have been in person.
It would have been somebody at her school, like a coach, or maybe somebody
Could
at
have been.
church, possibly.
Could have been, yep.
Yeah.
And I also think that if she was influenced to leave, they instructed her to go to the tool shed at the upholstery place.
Could be.
Because I agree with you that it's creepy. And
Yeah.
it seems like she was kind of hanging out there for a little while. And she had to have passed a lot of shelters.
Yeah, potentially.
could have-
There were things closer to
There
the
were
road
other
that she
things.
could have ducked into to take shelter from the weather.
Right.
And there were houses that she could have gone to and knocked on the door.
Right. So I think she was instructed to go there. It seems like she was hanging out there for a little while. And then also, it's kind of the fact that her hair bow was found there makes me think that something happened there.
I mean, some kind of struggle.
Oh, just even a little bit of something. I don't think there was any sign of a struggle, but her pencil and her marker were there. So I think she was probably bored there for a while. That's,
Doing a
to
little
me at least,
doodling
they
or
were like
something.
out,
Yeah.
and she was just kind of hanging out. It's usually for doodling and stuff like that, and then whoever was supposed to pick her up picked her up. I don't know. That's my theory. There's one internet suspect that I'm not ready to 100% rule out, but I'm not ready to 100% say was him. Mostly because I think the police are pretty sure that it's not him, but that's okay. We're going to talk about him anyway. He is currently serving 2 consecutive life sentences for the murder of 7-year-old Shalonda Poole.
He didn't just murder her. It was a little worse than that.
That's true, but we're not going to talk
very
about
bad
it.
things.
I know.
He did very, very bad things.
Yeah.
He apparently was actually a family friend of the Pooles for a few months prior, but initially...
And did he know the degrees, Aisha's family?
I don't think so. I haven't been able to see.
Somehow the internet has linked this guy to the case, but that seems the internet is the only one who has made that link.
Yeah, I think the police, when the internet linked it, the police thought, okay, fine, we'll check it out, and there's no connection really. But somebody else was arrested for Shalonda's murder initially, but it turns out that person didn't do it. It was this guy. His name is Donald Ferguson.
And he participated in the search. It's a creepy thing when you hear these kind of stories and you find out, oh God, he was actually taking part, because that's a weird game there.
That's not at all unheard of.
I know that. That's why they look at the people who volunteer.
Yeah.
They do, and they look for you to lead them to the body, because often that's what they do. Yeah.
We talked about that in
several.
The Moxley murder. Yeah.
Well, I don't think that there's actually a connection to the Degree family, but Aisha and Shalonda were both young black girls, and they do kind of look alike from all the pictures I can see.
But it's got to be more than that. I mean, maybe he stumbled upon her on Highway 18. Sheer luck.
That's possible.
That's counter to what Devin's theory is here, that she was lured away, though, if he just stumbled upon her.
Right. But, the reason that people have made this connection is that Ferguson and Shalonda Poole, before she was murdered, the Pooles lived in South Carolina, and the Degrees lived in North Carolina, so people are, they're close, kind of. So,
so
maybe he was just kind of traveling around. And I don't know. It sounds like he was kind of an odd job handyman kind of guy, which is a great cover if you're a horrible human being.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that all handyman people are horrible human beings.
No, this is much like the guy that we talked about in the Beaumont Children episode, the spider who was traveling around. Same scenario.
Yeah, and it is close, and it's
Rock
kind
spider.
of. I mean, Shalonda was murdered in 1990, and then 10 years later, Aisha went missing from a similar area. So people are thinking maybe there's a connection, but again, the police seem to have ruled that out.
Yeah, I'm kind of guessing.
Kind of circumstantial.
Yeah. Well, Ferguson pleaded guilty to the charges in return for not getting the death penalty.
Yeah. So he's serving 2 consecutive life sentences.
And so I got to presume right now the police are fairly secure in the knowledge that he's not ever going to get out of prison. So I'm assuming they went to him and said, dude, we'll give you immunity. Just tell us what happened.
They do that a lot to solve crime.
They do that a lot. In this case, you're not losing out because the guy's already locked up for good.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
you're
why
not
not?
Get anything out of charging him and giving him 5 more sentences.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've gotten nothing out of him. That doesn't mean he's not the killer, but... Well,
yeah. But even if it wasn't Ferguson, I think it's more than likely that somebody got to Aisha and really just convinced her that she should leave her life for a better life.
It's not even necessarily that. It could have been like what I'm saying. Leave for a week. Go to my special basketball camp and we'll make you a star. It could have been something like that too.
Or, hey, we got this princess that looks just like you.
Or Tweety Bird wants you to come visit. I mean, there's 100 ways that could go.
Yeah. There's one other theory here.
Well, there's more than this theory, but
it's hard to...
I know.
One theory you will see out there, this is from Web Sleuths, is that Aisha was sleepwalking. It's a bad theory for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I think so.
On Web Sleuths, they say, well, Aisha's mom says that she had a history of sleepwalking, which is just 100% bunk. I've never seen Aquila quoted as saying that. When people say, oh yeah, can you link me to that? There's obviously radio silence. Nobody can ever link to that. It's totally unfounded. As far as I can tell, Aisha had no history of sleepwalking.
Well, even if she did, she gets up, she either packs her bag or she picks up the bag she had packed previously because she somehow knew she was going to go sleepwalking.
Right.
She exits the house, sleepwalking, deadbolts the door from the outside while still sleepwalking and heads on down
So I've heard of people who are taking Ambien do that kind of behavior, but not 9-year-old kids.
Okay, well, in fairness, we had a childhood friend that sleepwalked, and his family said, oh, okay, you know what'll keep you from sleepwalking is if we put you on the top bunk. But he managed to, I think he was 12 when he did this, so a little older, but he managed to climb out of the top bunk. And this was, his sister was sleeping on the bunk below. She didn't wake up, and she was my friend. She was not a particularly heavy sleeper, but he climbed out of that, walked down 2 flights of stairs, unlocked the door, walked out. There was a knob handle lock, but he unlocked the deadbolt, walked out, closed the door, didn't slam it, because his parents would have heard if he'd slammed the door, closed it quietly behind him, walked out, and woke up in the middle of the street when someone was honking at him at 12. So, I mean, it's possible, but there are a lot of other steps here, right? Again, packed a bag that...
That's not sleepwalking
That's
behavior.
premeditated there, yeah.
Or packed the bag that night. I think it's possible. I think I said earlier that I thought she pre-packed it, but now I think she didn't pre-pack it. I don't know. I don't know what packing situation. Either way, that's dumb. And if O'Brien was sensitive enough to hear her get up and go back to bed, he would have heard her leave again and not come back. That's just my 2 cents.
You'd think.
You would think. Also, it was a super crappy night out. 34 degrees, freezing cold, pouring rain. That would wake you up. There's no way that you're going to sleepwalk for a mile. That's a good hour, probably, for a 9-year-old.
In 34-degree weather, yeah. I know.
It is possible that she, got a little bit and then woke up and was turned around, but I think she would have had to have been out of the little subdivision, whatever area that we're calling their neighborhood, for her to have gotten that turned around.
Yeah.
So she would have had to made it all the way out to Highway 18 in really crappy weather. I don't think I don't think that's possible. I just don't think it's possible.
No.
There's one component of this theory that says, okay, so she was sleepwalking, but like what happened? She was sleepwalking and then somebody hit her with the car and freaked out and tried to cover it up. First of all, I will grant you that on a night like that, when it's raining that much and stuff like that, it's possible that any evidence could have washed away. But that ignores the fact that they found some of her stuff in the tool shed.
So take sleepwalking out of this equation, because sleepwalking is silliness.
Yeah.
And I think we can stop beating on it.
Okay.
So, okay.
Agreed.
But there are ways that what you're talking about could have gone down, which is she did decide to leave. She walked, she took shelter. She was dinking around, playing with stuff in her bag, and then went back out on the road to continue her hike, at which point she gets hit by a car. I mean, that's completely possible. I mean, when I read this, I initially thought I had to go looking on the map to find where her school was, because I thought, I wonder if she's got some screwball idea that she's got to go to school early to do something. Except the school is like 5 miles north of where she lives in Falston, rather than 7 miles south in Shelby. So that doesn't work.
Also, why pack like 12 pairs of clothes? But okay.
Well, a change or two of clothes. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But you know what does? I did notice and I did think about that falls in line with it's an accident and somebody decides to hide it. Weirdly, you know what I found several of in the area that she disappeared?
What?
Ground level pools.
So you mean ground level? You mean like
swimming pools?
You mean swimming pools that are in the ground, or swimming pools that are sitting on top of the ground?
In the ground.
Yeah.
In-ground swimming pools. And I was looking through the satellite footage, and one of them eventually, in the wintertime images, had a cover, but they were uncovered, so she would have had to go trekking to get to one of them if she were to do what's the kid who disappeared on the phone? Brandon
Swanson.
Yeah, she could have pulled a Swanson and decided to take a shortcut from the shed to the road, and that would have run her through, if she took the right vector, through a yard that had a pool in it.
Did it not have a fence around it?
No, not that I could tell. I didn't see hardly any fences when you looked at it. You know, you get the right daylight and you can see the shadows, and I didn't see hardly any fences. So
I could totally see that. You know, you wake up and you find a kid floating in your pool and you think, lawsuit, unless I get rid of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, which could be.
I mean, that's scandalous, but people do it. This is a total outlier, and I totally get it. But it's things I started deciding, okay, what has not been talked about? And these were things I started looking at when I looked at her environment.
I guess, and again, I have no way of knowing this, but it seems like there would have been significant water damage to her backpack and the contents of it if she had drowned in a pool. But we don't know if that
It was a rainy night.
That's true.
Everything may have been soaked. The other thing is, she was at an upholstery shop, and, you know, if they had answered their phone, we could find out if they tanned any of their own leather, because if they tan leather, that's caustic material, and that means you can chuck a body into it and it disappears pretty easily. I mean, again,
and
completely outlier things, and I don't think they're right, but
I don't think anybody suspects the upholstery guys.
Oh no, I don't think that they did anything, but I'm just saying
we want to take a good look at that leather thing you had recovered by them, probably.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, yeah, and anyway, nobody seems to suspect the leather people. I don't see.
No, again,
I don't mean leather. I mean the upholstery.
Right. I'm just saying that if there's so few things here, I'm just looking for other things that could have been it.
Another one. As far as getting run over by a car, though, I want to say that I really, really, really doubt that, because even though it totally could easily have happened, if it were me, I'd just look around to see if there was no witnesses, and I would just drive away. I wouldn't load the body into the trunk of my car and go dispose of it. I'd just get out of there.
Yeah, it's.
And so it just makes no sense.
I really hope that's not the case.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any other?
No, that's all I have.
Do you have any things you want to talk about?
No, I mean, all I could say is that Aisha, whatever her motivation was, obviously she was highly motivated for some strange reason, and I don't know that we're ever going to know what that reason was.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'll just mention I've seen on some Reddit threads people saying, well, obviously the parents had something to do with it. It's super suspicious that the dad said that they really are doubting Harold's story, that he checked on her and both the kids were asleep, and then like
Again,
they said, and then an hour later she was seen, blah blah blah. No, stop. Like, just stop.
All right.
Stop. Like, if there was any suspicion on the family at all, it would have been exposed.
What you're talking about that you read on Reddit is the same inflammatory reaction that we get emails about sometimes when people hear one thing and they block everything else and they react. And that's exactly what that is.
Yeah, and I want to just go ahead and go on the record and saying, like, if you think that, you're a horrible human being, so stop. Like, just stop.
Yeah, well, even if the dad, for some reason, even if you forgot to check them at 2:30 or whatever, so what? You know, it doesn't make a monster.
No. They're saying that he's lying about it and he did something nefarious and like he's the reason that she disappeared.
That seems rather unlikely, you know.
Oh,
No, like,
as in
don't
he,
do that.
he took her out of he got her out of bed, and then when they went for quote unquote to get candy, something else. Okay, yeah, that's I don't buy it. Okay,
that's bad.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, her brother heard her rustling around the bed way later than that.
Yep.
I've seen him on the tube, seen interviews with him, and he seems like a nice enough guy. He doesn't look like a murderer to me, but maybe.
Both of them are just, I think, really sad, which they
should be.
Yeah, it's expected. So,
and for Christ's sakes, this thing happened on their wedding anniversary too, and so that kind of like sullies the whole thing for them.
Yeah. So that's all we have on this. Frustratingly.
Yeah. If you out there have something more for us, we'd like to hear from you.
This episode and some of the links that we used for research will be on our website. The website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. You are probably listening to us on iTunes. If you are and you haven't already subscribed and left a comment and, a review and a rating, please do that. That's how other people find us. Mm-hmm. If you're streaming it, we do stream on like literally everything. So if you're streaming us and you can subscribe or leave a comment, oh my God, a review or a rating, please do that. Again, that's how people find us. We are on the social media. We have a Facebook group and page. We are on Twitter. Mm-hmm. We're Thinking Sideways there. And then we have our very own subreddit, which is just Thinking Sideways. It's not Thinking Sideways Pod. If you post there, I won't see it. Some of you are still doing that. Stop it. You can email us if you have any kind of suggestions, general accolades, or any kind of meaningful constructive criticism, because we like to be able to have a discussion with people about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we left something out, overlooked some vital detail, we'd like to know about it.
Mm-hmm. Making fun of us.
Not that we've ever done that.
Nope, never.
It could happen, maybe.
Yep. So you can email us at thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, you can do that in a number of ways. You can buy our merch. We've got shirts, mugs, stickers, nightlights, whatever you could possibly think of. Those are going to be on Zazzle and Redbubble. Those are linked on our website. You can do a PayPal one-time donation, or you can do a recurring donation on PayPal, but I feel like it's more trouble than it's worth. Or you can do a recurring donation on Patreon. That's patreon.com/thinkingsideways, and that's just charges you per episode. It's like a marathon thing.
Yeah, a lot of people pledge like, $100 an episode. Well, I'm kidding. That's Fantasyland, like $1 an episode maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But all voluntary. It's Patreon.
.com/thinkingsideways. Mm-hmm. All of that having been said, I don't want to make fun of anything, so I'm just going to say I'll see you guys next week.
And then we're done with this one. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, ta-ta,
Happy
everybody.
New Year.
Yeah, bye.
Thinking Sideways is not brought to you by pinning us to your wall. Instead, it's supported by the generous donations of our listeners on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/thinkingsideways to learn more. And thanks.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a reply.
What?
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Hey guys, it's Thinking Sideways, the podcast. I'm Devin, joined this week by my special guest co-hosts,
Joe.
And
Steve.
Yay!
We're special guests this week. That's cool.
Yeah, and this week we're going to talk about a mystery.
It's going to be a little one.
It's
Yeah. It is.
This is like literally this is the jokes I've been hearing all week. It's
Yes,
just-
this is going to be a jokey, pun-filled
it's
episode.
gonna be a
if we're
good
not careful.
one. Yeah. Well, what if we're not careful? You mean if we're careful? it
Yes,
will be.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
about a tiny alien. I just gave it away.
Oh man, Joe.
I know.
This week, as you know, because you probably read the title and maybe even the description, we're going to talk about the Atacama skeleton, also often referred to as the Atacama humanoid or Atacama alien, or I don't know.
Or proof.
Proof for aliens.
Yes.
Proof for the little green guy.
Literally the little green
Little
man.
green man.
Yeah, that
Yep.
explains why we haven't seen their saucers, because they must be tiny. It starts
Yeah.
with a garbage can lid.
Well, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Actually, it makes sense. That's why we were all convinced by a hubcap for a while.
Yeah.
It's the right size. Okay. We done?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. So our story, just to briefly do a quick little overview here. Briefly, quickly? Yep. In 2003, I'm pretty sure that was the year that this was discovered, but
I think so.
It's hard to tell because some of the stories are different, but we're going to say in 2003,
They're hard to validate, but yeah.
a token, quote unquote, collector made a very interesting discovery in a pouch in the Atacama Desert, which is mostly in Chile. It's about 41,000 square miles, which for you people who are not civilized is 105,000 square kilometers. There's very little population there. It's mostly just deserted desert towns from the nitrate era.
Yeah, they closed down the mines and the towns went away.
Oh, I was going to ask, you mean because it was nitrate mining?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
No, from the. Have you
I
never
was
heard that
going,
before?
wait, I've never heard of the nitrate era.
Yeah, you never heard of that?
You did.
Yeah.
You must have just forgotten.
I slept through that class.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, once the mine closes down, you really don't want to stick around
No,
because
not
there's
really.
no water in the desert in that particular desert.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no right. We were talking earlier. Is it the driest place on Earth?
It is,
One of?
It is no, it is the driest place on Earth.
Yeah. So take that, everyone who thought that you know where it was. So this guy, while scavenging, found he was in a church. He was kind of digging around. He was trying to find things that were like worth money.
Yeah, I think I in one version of this that I heard, he actually found it in a graveyard next to the church, which was in an abandoned town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
he
in
might
a
have even
church.
he might have even been like grave robbing.
Yes,
possibly.
I was going to
Totally
say,
possible.
basically, he's described as a token collector, but really he's just a scavenger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. Just a scavenger. Just raiding these deserted towns for
Right.
anything that might be
Anything.
worth anything.
Yeah, which I mean, they're deserted towns, so it's not like
Yeah.
anybody's going to get upset about it, but he's scavenging.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So buried just slightly under the ground, I don't think it was very deep, he found a white cloth that was tied with a violet ribbon, violet the color, ribbon,
Oh.
and it contained a skeleton that was about 6 inches long with a slightly elongated skull and only 10 ribs. To
A
make
little unusual.
this story a little weirder, I'm just going to throw a quick little thing in here and then we'll talk a little bit about it more. In records that are dating back to, I think it was 1933, a similar 6-inch tall humanoid skeleton was featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not book that came out then. And it was also, like I said, a 6-inch tall humanoid skeleton. He was called Attaboy because he was found, believe it or not, in the
Dun.
Atacama Desert, not far from where Atta was found, which is what they called this new skeleton.
It's been speculated there's
Been dubbed.
probably all kinds of these things floating around the Atacama Desert.
Yeah, probably there
Yeah,
is.
because it's so dry,
Yeah.
things get mummified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say is that it's that desert. It's going to suck the moisture out and preserve things obscenely quickly.
Yeah, and really well, usually,
Yes.
too. Okay, so, as we said, this guy, his name was Oscar Muniz. I can't find anything about him except for, as I said, I think he was just a scavenger.
Mm-hmm.
But the skeleton was eventually sold to the current owner. His name was Ramon Navia Osorio, and he's a Spanish businessman. Not was, is. Sorry, he is currently
He's still among us.
living, still owns this skeleton.
Well, it's not in his hands though these days, right? Did he get it back, or did he?
He did. He got it back. He never was without it.
Well, I thought
When it was examined. It was examined in Spain, in Barcelona,
Okay.
where he is.
I
So
see.
it's my understanding that he's never not had possession of it.
Why would he want this creepy little thing at his
It's
house?
kind of cool. I don't know. I kind of like it. I would take one.
Really?
Yeah, totally. Would you not?
You also collect those weird dolls that have the eyes that follow you, though.
No, I don't. Those scare me. Those scare me a lot. No, we had those